course, she just found a jingle ball. More Disney, more dogs. Life motto. Are we centered?
No.
You know?
Yep.
Well, listen, I just am trying to help you.
We need to clean up down here.
Help me help you. Yes, we need to clean up everywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Foster the Meeple.
Channel.
A channel all about
board games.
And
board gamey things.
Exactly. We apologize in advance for all of the clickety-clacketing that you're going to be hearing. The dogs are downstairs with us, and they can't be tamed. They're walking all over the place doing sniffing and stuff. Juno wants out to go eat cat food, but guess what?
She'll sneak out when we're not paying attention.
No, I closed it. Oh, she can push it open.
She'll push it open for sure.
We are here today to do a video all about tough games to table. Our personal toughest games to table. So what we mean by that is games that they might not be difficult to play, but there are reasons why they don't get to the table for us often, and they're just tough to table. Mm-hmm. So the first game that we have on our list, I will talk about, and that is Dinosaur World from Pandasaurus Games. And just encompassed in this also includes Dinosaur Island. I would put these two in the exact same boat.
Yep.
This is not a difficult game to play. There's a lot going on, but it's not difficult.
Yeah.
So Dinosaur World is essentially an action selection, worker placement. It's got a lot of stuff going on. You're building out a dinosaur park. That's what you're doing. This game, though, the reason why it's tough for us to table is because it is a beast. Yeah. We literally have a conference table that we use to play board games on. This takes up every last inch of that table and still feels like we don't have enough space.
At 3-player too, like. Yes. Do we play it at 4?
We've only played it at 3.
Yeah, I don't know how we would fit a 4-player game.
I don't think that we could, because we each had our own side of the conference table and everything was filled.
I'm sure you could. I think at 3-player, the conference table allowed us to have enough space and it wasn't super cramped.
Yeah.
You could play at 4, but I think it would be very tight.
So the reason why this game is tough to table for me personally is because the setup time is just insane. Like the setup time takes forever.
And you can play it at 2.
But like, who wants to set up a game this size for a 2-player game?
Yeah, similar to Dino Island.
Exactly, yeah. And we have played Dino Island at 2, and we have played Dualosaur Island. I prefer the way Dino Island plays and Dinosaur World plays, but the setup time is insane, number 1. Number 2, I don't love playing these games at 2 players. I prefer to play them at a higher player count, which then means that the game is going to last a very long time. It says here it goes up to 120 minutes. It's like one of your first games. It's probably going to take you longer than that.
Yeah, we played it for a while.
Yeah. And then not only the setup, but the teardown. It's just like every time, like
it's a big game. It's just a big game.
And I love this game.
Yeah,
and there are other big games that you could play that don't take as much effort. Like there's a lot of time invested in this game for one play. So it's really tough to table.
We're starting to get more people that are playing games around us. Mm-hmm. But like this is not one.
They were like, hey, do you guys want to play Dino
That
World?
we could, it's difficult for this to get in the right situation where you're like, I want to play Dino World.
It's not one that we just would ever pull off the shelf and be like, let's just play this.
I think you have to have the right group. Everyone has to have experienced it, and you have to have the space for it, which I think is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
It is huge on a table.
Gigantic. It's the size of a dinosaur. That's how big it is. That's Dinosaur World. That's our first one on the list that we find tough to table.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have one of my favorite games, Brass Birmingham.
Yeah.
This is really a product of, again, player count. You can play this at 2. It also is a product of just Jamie doesn't enjoy the theme at all. She doesn't like the way it looks on the table, etc., etc., etc. Also, it is a difficult game to know how to play.
Yep.
It's got some nuance.
Especially if you're teaching it to some new people. Like when you're playing it, it's going to extend the game. If you don't play it with people who know it well, including us, you're in the rule book a lot for this one, I find.
However, we have not given it a chance in a long time.
So tough to table, we've only ever played it a couple of times, and every time, like this is on our list of games we have to play this year, and every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to relearn the whole thing. And it does have a decent setup time. There's a lot of little pieces to it. It's not a game that I would want to play at 4, but also not a game I want to play at 2. So I like to play it at 3.
I'd like to try it. I agree.
Oh, it'd take forever to play at 4.
I agree. I want to optimally play it at at 3.
Yeah.
But I do want to try it at 2 because we haven't played it at 2, and I wonder what it would be like to play at 2.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a heavier game.
It's just
for me.
This is just one that is a product of Jamie doesn't enjoy it too much.
Yeah, the theme really gets me.
And we don't have the player count.
Very dark and dingy.
Brass Birmingham.
Yes, in didgeridoo.
Sad face.
Sad face. The next one that we'll talk about is one that we actually don't own, but we have played and have started and stopped with 2 different groups, and that game is Gloomhaven. Mm-hmm. Now, we're only including Gloomhaven and not Jaws of the Lion because I do not feel that Jaws of the Lion is tough to table. Mm-hmm. It is a way easier of a setup, quicker to play.
The map book changes a lot.
So the reason why Gloomhaven's on this list is, number 1, you have to have a committed gaming group.
Yes. If you're not playing it at 2.
I wouldn't want to play Gloomhaven at 2 players, I don't think. I feel like 3 is good.
Know.
Maybe. I don't know. So you have to have a committed gaming group. You have to, which then means scheduling issues for a lot of people. The setup time for each scenario is big because you're building out the map every single time. And then the gameplay itself takes a while to play.
And you can play for 2 hours and fail a scenario.
Yeah, and then have to do it again.
Like, I'm somewhat fine with that. It does suck, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of people that would just, and we've had that happen, where it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to replay this scenario again.
No. So we started Gloomhaven with a group, and then halfway through, the group kind of fell apart. Then we started again with somebody else. We got about probably like a third of the way through, and then again fell. So we still have not finished this because every group that we play with has felt that, this is just, it's too much.
Yep. It's a lot of pieces. Like,
a lot of setup.
The second group we played with was one other individual, and he had the game, and he had organized everything into this like organizer box, not the actual original Gloomhaven box, and it was still like difficult to know where everything was and get all the map pieces out.
That game is a beast.
Next up we have Cuba Libre.
Coin games in general.
Yeah, we're not talking specifically about Cuba Libre. We're talking about coin games in general, which is something new to us. Coin games, I think it's more so just intimidation.
Intimidating, high learning curve.
Let's be transparent. We didn't learn how to play this game. Our only coin game currently, which is Cuba, we play it with Rodney, and Rodney taught us how to play, and that is a privilege that we have had the benefit of having.
We have not had to learn a coin game from scratch yet on our own.
I could teach it enough now to get someone through it, but there is so much nuance in rules. But what I will say is coin game rule books are very to the point.
Structured.
Whatever it says is exactly how it plays. I don't know how to describe it. It's
dry.
Go to paragraph 1.12
Yeah,
for
it's
this.
like a textbook, basically.
Yeah.
These games are optimal to play at 4 players. You can play them at lower player counts. If you are bringing new people in, so let's just say we had Jason over to play a game, we would need to then teach him that faction because of the asymmetry. I find asymmetrical games in general can be harder to table with new players. Unless everybody is learning it at the same time, or you have set aside time previously to teach them or to learn the faction. They're longer games, higher strategy for sure, so it can be harder to table, and right now we only have one person to play them with. It's all about lining up your schedules in order to do that.
Any game that has Vast is another one where you not only have to teach the person how the game works, but then you have to be able to at least articulate how their faction works. And there's obviously in a lot of these games there's easier factions than others. That's how we learn.
You also want to learn how every faction works in order to build your strategy, and it's just it's a big time investment. We love it though.
It's a difference between knowing how to play the game and then being strategic with your moves. There is a gap there, so it depends on the person you're teaching it to and what level they want to dive in.
But that being said, if you have a group of 4 people who want to get into this, you should get into it.
I recommend this one too.
Yeah, this is a good one to start with.
Obviously, I recommend this one because this is the one we played.
Even I like it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So the next game we have on our list is Merchant's Cove, and this is one that is not difficult to play when you actually get it on the table. Though there are asymmetrical factions in this that you need to learn, you really only need to learn your own for for this. You don't really need to know what other people are doing because there's minimal interaction in this game. The reason why this one is tough to table is strictly because of the setup and even more so the teardown. Getting everything back into this box. Last time I thought Jeff was going to have a mini freak because things were not going in correctly. The lid is still not...
There's directions on how to put this box back together.
Yeah. The biggest hurdle to Merchant's Cove, which is a game that we love, is the setup and the teardown. That's it. We've played this 2 or 3 times now, and then we haven't touched it since. Because every time I'm like, oh, I'd really like to play that, and then I just think about
putting it back in the
like,
box.
oh my god, do I really want to play that right now?
Yeah, like
if that's the
all
case?
the little pieces like go on top, and certain things need to go under other certain pieces in certain little slots. It is like a game in a game. Putting this game back in the box is a game in itself.
But we love it. But it just doesn't hit the table as much because that's just such a hurdle for us. What is that dog doing? She's like trying to get a toy, a cat toy. It's not even her toy. You're up, Pop.
Next up, we have one of our favorites.
Classic.
One of our OGs, Game of Thrones, the board game.
2nd edition.
So the thing with this one is primarily
player
count and having the time to play it. So even if you have the player count, I prefer it at 4. 4, 5, or 6 I think would be best.
It's minimum 3, so we can't play it just the 2 of us.
Player count's a big one, but also it takes a long time.
This is a long game.
We've played 4, 5, 6 hour gameplays of this.
Yeah.
It would be difficult to introduce to new players because you're teaching, it's going to be probably longer. I'm talking like 4 to 5 hours when you know how to play.
Yeah, when everybody knows how to play.
So it's a slog. There's not a lot of people that I think, myself included, like, I love this game.
Yeah.
And if you were to come to me and say, we're going to sit down and play Game of Thrones, I know that I'm dialed in for 6 hours. And I'm like, man, we could play a lot of different games in that time period.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
This hasn't hit our table in years. It is another one that we have committed to playing this year, though.
Yep.
And we all want to play it again. It's going to see the table, but it literally has to be like, all right, this is the dedicated day. We're playing Game of Thrones. We're going to put the music on, the theme song on the background for 8 hours on a loop.
Yep.
And it's going to be great. Because, like, we also now, it's been so long, like, we're going to need to relearn how to play this. All I know is that you never want to be the Starks, stuck up in Winterfell.
It's very thematic against the Starks, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. All right, the next one that we have on our list is another one that we don't own, and we would have bought, but we decided not to because this game we would never play by ourselves. It would never see the table, and that is Through the Ages, a new story of civilization. So we've played this, well, not quite, we've played this a few times with Jason, my brother, and this is another one that takes a long time to play. Our last game, we didn't even finish it. We ran out of time.
Yep.
It's another one that has a bit of a higher learning curve.
Yep.
A lot of setup time, big table hog.
Yep.
It's fun, and like we both love this game. It's just a lot, and it's hard to get to the table. So, and it's another one that has a theme that I think might deter a lot of people. They might see like, oh, a civilization game. Wow. Like
yeah,
people,
I mean,
people like me.
If you don't like Civ games, then yeah, don't play that game.
It's a civilization game.
It's based off of the Civilization video game, I think. I play a lot of that game on BGA.
Yeah, and there is an app as well if that's how you want to play it. I just think like we haven't played that one now in about a year, and it is another one that if like every time that we play it, we're like, okay, we know that we're dedicating like 3 or 4 hours to this game, and you might want to play it at the beginning of your game day and not at the end because you might not get to finish it.
This one I don't think we have a really legitimate good excuse for.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Next up we have Star Wars Rebellion. So, I know there's going to be a ton of comments on this one because we've been hounded to play this game.
I know.
Every time Jamie goes to learn it, I'm not blaming Jamie because it's not her fault. I could learn games if I wasn't such a boob about it.
Yeah, what a boob.
Every time Jamie goes to learn this, it kind of just falls to the wayside. She gets overwhelmed.
I get lost like halfway through the learn, and I'm like,
then it's just kind of like, all right, well, I don't want to do this. Another one that takes a long time, but one I know we would love.
We would love it.
It's gotten to the point with this one where we just need to
buckle down and play it. But that's the thing. It's a time commitment for us. Number one, to learn the game. Number two, to actually play the game. It will hit the table eventually. eventually, but it is a time issue for me, big time.
We also, I think, need to be realistic with like our games. If they haven't been played in a certain amount of time, they need to go.
Yeah, we're collecting the Star Wars game.
To be fair to us, we paid basically nothing for this.
Yeah, we got this at an auction. That's why there's like weirdo tape all over it. This one, tough game to table. We've had it for years now. It's never hit the table. We know we just need to do it, and it's supposed to be a great like 2-player Star Wars game.
I know we would love it.
Of course we would love it. It's like hidden stuff. It's not to love about that. Next up on the list is Sleeping Gods. This is a game that we have played probably 3 or 4 hours of. It is a big campaign game. It is also a huge table hog, big setup, big teardown. So that is primarily why it is tough for us to table. Now, when we get our board game table, which is coming soon, and we're very, very excited about that, this is probably the first game I think that we're going to set up. No, this is going to be the second game. The first game is going to be Familiar Tales, and we're going to finish that. And then this is going to be the second game where we are just going to set it up and just leave it. Put the cover on, and then we could come back to it whenever we want. We could do it weekly because it is just...
It's too much.
It's too much. Every time that we set it up, all I could think of, like 90% of the time, was taking it down. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to put all of this back. There's like a save system.
There's so many little pieces and things.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of management.
And if you don't play it like frequently enough, you start to forget a lot of
We have to
things.
restart.
And it's a game that we both really, really enjoy playing.
I love this game.
But like it has not hit the table since like a couple weeks after we got it because it's just too much. It can be a little bit overwhelming to have to get into it.
So when Jamie says put the cover on, she doesn't mean the game. Our board gaming table will have a recessed play area so we can actually cover it so the animals can't get at the pieces. And
that is the next one that we find tough to table, but is a game that we do so love.
Yeah. Next up, we have Mage Knight.
Ultimate Edition.
Ultimate Edition. I'm going to move it. Mage Knight was a me thing.
Obviously.
I think we would both agree this game has gotten to the point where it's going to be a solo thing for me. And I keep putting it off. I was going to do it when Jamie traveled, but I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm just not a solo gamer. I am not a solo gamer. I am more inclined to paint, or I'll hop on a video game. I don't know where I land with this game right now. I don't know how long it stays in the collection.
It'll stay forever.
I don't know. But again, this is another one I got on the auction for basically nothing.
Yeah.
There's some box damage on the other side, but the components are in there. The miniatures are painted. It's a beautiful game. But it's difficult to learn.
It's a lot. It's just intimidating, I think.
It's very intimidating, and I'm just not a solo gamer.
And Jeff is not typically the one that learns the game, so I haven't even attempted to look at this, but I feel like every time you pick it up, you're just kind of like, this is too much.
I think we've stated this before, like, I want to play a game as accurately as possible, but I'm not like a rules guru. Basically what I'm trying to say is I just need to table this game, and if I make some mistakes, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I need to stop worrying about having to play it completely correct and just have like, that's the thing with games for me, like even something like Sleeping Gods, where it's like we messed something up, but who gives a poop? Like, I don't care. So that's what I need to do with Mage Knight. I need to stop worrying about the rules overhead, just get it on the table, and if I make mistakes along the way, I've played it, and then we can make a determination of what we do with it. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a big boy. I feel like you'd love it, though.
I know I would.
Okay, and the very last game that we have on the list is another one that we don't own, but that is Great Western Trail. We have experienced the fail of the trail, and it wasn't fun to experience that. Great Western Trail is one of those games that, it's another one of those games that if you don't play it frequently enough and you forget how to play it, it just becomes like a jumbled mess in my brain. It's just a lot. It's a lot on the table. It's a lot of little nuances.
That's the thing with this game.
And like, you know, when we're trying to relearn it, if there's not one person at the table who knows it like the back of their hand, I think you struggle while you play it. We've played it twice, and then we tried to play it a third time, like a year later, and we had all completely forgotten everything about the game. And it's just a hard game to table if you don't have at least one person who knows it perfectly.
I've played this a bunch on BGA recently that I think I would be able to help. I don't know the core rules. Like, there is a ton of nuance. Like, I know enough of the core game that I think I could help carry some of the burden of this game. But I'd also state that this game in general has just kind of floated down in terms of enjoyment for me.
I don't know. I just think that this is a tough one to table for us. We don't own it, and I don't know that this is one that we would buy, but Jason loves it. But one thing I do love about this game is the cows. Anyways, those are the games that we find the toughest to table. For us.
Us.
We would be interested to hear below what some games are that you find tough to table, or what you think about the games. Yeah, TI4, TI3. It's still
War of the Ring.
War of the Ring. We have a bunch more that have never seen the table or that would be tougher to table, but these are just kind of the ones that we pulled out. But really interested to hear any games that you guys find tough to table as well. Anyways, if you're interested in buying games like any of the ones that we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store, and for us here in Halifax, that is
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yes, it is. That's all we have for you guys today. We thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon, and now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later days.
Juno, come on, lay down. Juno, come lay down. Juno, come on, be like Kaya. Look, Kaya's being the good girl. We are here. Is this supposed to be a board game and brew? I'll take that one off and put this one on. Can you guys hear that? These animals are wild.
That was Juno getting mad at
the cat.
The cat.
Hey, this is why you can't be down here. She's playing with a toy. So the reason why this is tough to table, this freaking dirt bike.
There's a kid that's been going by on his dirt bike.
And it just makes you not want to take everything.
I need to do this. I'm doing this as we go because it's a good time to do it.
Maybe it'll go on the right way.
Doubtful.
Did not. I'd laugh if you
Do we have any boxes that are correct?
Probably not. It's on upside down. Okay.
Every game has had this.
Oh my god, even this one.
That's me because I have this.
We call this video the video of upside down box lids. Oh my god, this box is so janked.